Welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughan Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Department of Education, and of course we're here with you on Saturdays to share updates, information, activities, anything that we can to help with the development of our students, of our young people. And this Saturday is no different. Of course, we know this is the month of June, and so we have our focus for the month is on our early childhood unit, our children who are within the early childhood bracket, specifically our nurseries, daycares, and preschools. And so we have a full calendar for you of our Child Month activities, and so far we've been having a really good time. Our students have been doing their best, and the teachers, I want to commend our supervisors, our teachers, the team at the Department of Education Early Childhood Unit for a job well done. As I said, we have a packed calendar, and we've had the opportunity to have some activities in the past few weeks, which, as I said, were engaging and enjoyable. I will start off by sharing the calendar for the remainder of the Child Month activities, so that you would have an opportunity to access, or at least have a general idea of what is coming up next. So of course we started off, I'll go from the beginning. We have already completed and concluded our opening activities and minister's address, and that took place on June 1st. June 4th we had Mrs. Florence Smith in here on Youth on the Go, and for the rest of the month we'll focus on our preschoolers during Youth on the Go. We had our church services, and each school was able to access a different church to host their church service. And then on June 10th we had our Child Month parade. On June 15th, that was this past Wednesday, we had the Dancing Stars activity, and I must take a moment out to give a big shout out to the schools for an incredible activity. Our children were so entertaining, and of course they were not able to do that without the support of their teachers and various dance instructors. So we had most of the preschools represented for the Dancing Stars activity. We want to thank our hosts for the evening, Mr. Roger Fifield and Mr. Andrew Nisbet. They hosted the event, and then we started off with an icebreaker by combined schools, and that just meant that we had one student representing each school, and they were able to do a dance to I Like to Move It, and that just took me back into the old days. I haven't heard I Like to Move It in a bit, but it was a good start, and so it was a bit of a focus on physical activity, and the children did well in that particular piece. And then we went through various pieces by the different schools. We had Naomi's Daycare, and they were doing a contemporary piece. We had Gingerland Preschool, they were doing an Afro Soca beat piece, and we had a Combermere Preschool, they were doing a dance hall piece. And Maud Cross Prep, we had them, and they were doing a contemporary piece. And then we had our guest soloist, a solo piece by Ioka Paris. We had meet the pageant participants, and of course we have a pageant coming up in short order, and so the participants came out to greet the audience and introduce themselves. And then we had the Charlestown Preschool with an Afro spiritual beat, and then St. John's Preschool with the Kids Rock, and Ines France with a gospel song, and Vernon Preschool with a pop piece. And as we culminated the event, we had a street parade flashback. For those of you who were able to attend the street parade on June 10th, we had a street parade flashback where schools were able to select some of the costumes which were showcased, and there was the students were able to model them on stage at NEPAC. And then we ended with the song Save the Earth, which is our theme song for this Child Month 2020, and so all of schools, combined schools, were able to sing that song. So that is how the Dancing Stars went, and we were able to see our stars shine. I think that persons who were in attendance thoroughly enjoyed the event, and we look forward to engaging you and engaging our children even more in the coming weeks. As we continue with the calendar, On June 21st, we will have, so these are the upcoming activities, we will have a children's matinee, which is being hosted by V&J's Preschool, and I want to take a moment out to encourage everyone to attend the children's matinee. The children's matinee is twinning as a fundraiser for the V&J's Preschool. They have a staff member who is also facing some medical challenges and is in need of funds to assist with defraying costs. And so please, everyone, take your children out. They'll have the opportunity to watch the movie Paw Patrol. They will have refreshments on sale. They will have the ride on. There's some big animals that rolling, moving animals that children can ride on. Those will be available as well at the event, and of course the movie. And we want to encourage everyone, children $5, adults $10. We're encouraging you all to go out and support the V&J's Preschool in this fundraising activity, and the funds of course will go to a good cause. And we know that with your support, the school will be able to make a sizable donation to the member of staff who is not doing so well. Okay, so to defray costs, we all know that the cost of medical expenses can sometimes be extremely high, and when we hear that persons are reaching out for assistance, if we can, you're encouraged to support. Additionally, this individual has contributed to early childhood education through the V&J's Preschool for many years, and so she must have touched many of your children's lives and impacted you in some way. So please ensure that if you cannot make it for some reason, please reach out to Teacher Vianna there at the V&J's Preschool and make a donation to assist with defraying those medical expenses. On June 23rd, we will have the Meet the Education Officials and Fun Day at 9:30 a.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. And during this activity, our children will be able to interact with some of the members of education whom they don't normally meet, and so they get an idea of who these persons are. And so persons, for example, are our junior minister, our permanent secretary, the persons who work within our team at the Ministry and Department of Education, our education officers. The children will have an opportunity to meet these individuals and to interact with them accordingly. So we look forward to interacting with them and having some fun as well. So we'll have a few games and activities available as part of that interaction. On June 24th, we will have the Child Month Parade in St. Kitts, and of course everyone is encouraged to attend, and we wish our colleagues on St. Kitts the very best as they plan towards this activity. And if you can journey to St. Kitts to join the Child Month Parade there, you're encouraged to do so. We will continue with the updates in terms of what is coming up next for Child Month 2022 after this short break.
Sugar City St. Kitts, keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. An hour passes quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's you on the go. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around, and adventure is always waiting. The storytelling means for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Department of Education, and we are here with you to share updates, activities, events, opportunities, anything that we can to assist and to support our students and our young people here on Nevis. Of course, we know this is Child Month 2022, and we focus on our children during this time, our children who are enrolled in early childhood centers, who are of early childhood age, up to age 8, but we generally interact greatly with our daycares, nurseries, and preschool students and staff. The theme for Child Month is Recycle, Save the Earth for Our Children's Future. And the next activity, we spoke about June 24th, which is the Child Month Parade in St. Kitts. The activity following that is the Prince and Princess Pageant. That will take place at NEPAC on June 29th. Adults, $25 indoors and $10 outdoors. Children, $10 indoors and $5 outdoors. And of course, we know that NEPAC has a maximum capacity, so we will ensure that tickets are sold to allow for persons who would like to view the pageant indoors. But in the event that you are interested in viewing the pageant and we are sold out, we also have tickets on sale for outdoor viewing. I want to take a few moments out to go through our list of participants by school as well as sponsors for the various schools. This pageant would not have been possible without the input of and support of our sponsors. And so we have in first, and I'll go according to the appearance position for the pageant, the evening of the pageant. And of course, once again, the pageant is on June 29th. In first position, we will have the Ines France Preschool, and the Ines France Preschool is represented by Eliana Scarborough and Jamor Challenger, and our sponsors are RBM Nursery and Ubrenta Bar and Restaurant, and the right which the Ines France Preschool will be representing is we have the right to food, clothing, and a safe place to live. We have a right to food, clothing, and a safe place to live. We also have in second position the Naomi's Preschool, represented by Kayla Daniel and Irandi Byron, and the sponsor is the Finished Touch. We have the right to freedom of religion, and that in third position we have the Gingerland Preschool, represented by Aiden Fifield and Kenny Gittins, and the sponsor is Honorable Eric Evelyn. We have the right to be treated fairly. No one is allowed to punish you in a cruel and harmful way. Then we will see the Montessori Academy, sponsored by Regional Viva Medical Clinic, and we have the right to an identity. That's their right. They are represented by Liam Guy and Ayana Chauti Prasad. Then we have the St. John's Preschool, Kiara Warner and Albi Javier. They are sponsored by Brands Architectural Services Limited and Century Maritime, and their right, we have the right to a good quality education. Maud Cross Prep is represented by Jaden Grant and Sanija Parry. Their sponsors are RSJ Enterprises and Island Moldings, and their right, we have the right to give our opinion and for adults to listen and take it seriously. Then we have the Combermere Preschool. The Combermere Preschool is represented by Micaiah Lewis and Jenny Woods. Their sponsors are Mr. Cliven Christmas and Mr. Delano Maynard. And their right, we have the right to be raised by our parents if possible. We have the right to special health and care if we cannot be raised by our parents. Vernon Lou Preschool, represented by Heavenly James and Sadiq Nisbet, and they are sponsored by Lefco and Blades Trucking Services. Their right, we have the right to be protected from being hurt and mistreated in body and mind. Charlestown Preschool, represented by Eliza Sampson and Dorinique Johnson, sponsored by Cornerstone. And their right, we have the right to a clean environment. And then, of course, we have V&J's Preschool, Alicia Gishard and Nathaniel Stephen, and they are sponsored by Stella's Engineering and Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. We have the right to play and rest. And so those are our representatives for the upcoming Prince and Princess pageant as part of our Child Month activities. Please note that every child is a winner, and so all of our children will display their talents and they will all receive the relevant prizes at the end of the pageant. And so we encourage you to come on out. We encourage you to support our students as best as you can. Whether it be indoors or outdoors, we're encouraging you to be part of this activity, and of course, as I said, to support as best as possible. And then we'll end Child Month 2022 with Recycle Day. Remember, our theme for Child Month is Recycle, Save the Earth for Our Children's Future. And so we're going to end with Recycle Day. And Recycle Day will, throughout the month of June, all centers have been encouraged to collect plastic materials, and so plastic bottles, it could be water bottles, soda bottles, detergent bottles, any plastic material, and they should be sent to the various centers. At the end of the month, they will be taken to the Sustainable Development Site, where they will be weighed, and the school with the largest or most recyclable items will receive a prize, and then we'll have, take the children through once again the importance of recycling. The hope is that children will learn the importance of recycling and hopefully project it onto their homes and into their parents, and make that a lifestyle at home. Okay, so we started recycling through the Child Month activity, but we can continue recycling post Child Month, because we want to make sure that we're saving the earth, and materials, recyclables can, instead of sending them to the landfill for dumping, can be recycled or reused at some point to reduce those negative impacts on the earth. So that will be our culminating activity, and we can't wait to see which school has collected the most recyclable materials. I've heard that some schools are thinking of bringing truckloads to the landfill, truckloads of materials to the landfill, and so we look forward to seeing them with the truckloads, but they can only bring truckloads if you as parents and the members of the general public participate and contribute. If you don't have a child within an early childhood center and you want to be part of the recycling process, you can feel free to adopt a center and get your recyclables to that particular center so that they can be submitted. So we look forward to seeing how much we can collect and remove some of these items that would normally have gone to the landfill and get them into the recycle program. So we are excited about that, and we look forward to all of you all joining with us as we close out the Child Month activities. We thought that it would be fitting to close out with a recycling activity, as the theme for this month focuses on recycling. And so we are thanking you in advance for your contribution. We are thanking you in advance for your input, and we look forward to seeing what you have to offer, what you come up with. Of course, it is the third Saturday of the month. We will transition in a few minutes to ECCB Children's Connection. It will just be, I will interact with you as much as possible today. Journey won't be with us today, but of course she will be back for our next Children's Connection. So we're going to transition out, and at 9:30 at the bottom of the hour, we will return.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's you on the go. You on the go, whoa, let's start the show. Oh, you on the go, whoa, let's start the show. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab the gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. The storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's you on the go. You on the go, whoa, let's start the show. Oh, you on the go, whoa, let's start the show. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab the gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. The storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
8:60 a.m. The Powerhouse.
Connecting the children of our EC region with good information and excellent mentoring. They started us early and making it easy to manage our money and make a real living. They're linking the children with excellent mentoring.
Good morning, good day to all of our radio listeners, and of course this is another edition of the ECCB's Children's Connection program. I am your host, Zahnela Claxton, and I will be here with you this morning. Next time we will have our usual co-host with us, Journey Hodge, and of course today we have an exciting program for you. In fact, we are looking at supermarkets and places that we go to buy, and I know that we all love to shop. So if you have a child at home, please make sure that your child locks in so that you can interact with us during the duration of the show. This edition of Children's Connection will last from 9:30 to 10 a.m. All right, so today we're going to talk about two interesting things. I have a favorite supermarket. And I'm sure each of you has a favorite supermarket. We have places where we go to buy specific things. I may buy certain things at one supermarket, and as adults, as children, you have your favorite because you know you get your candy here or you get something specific there. But as adults, we kind of look at it a little bit differently. We choose supermarkets sometimes based on specific items. I know that there are some persons who may say, for example, I'm going to go to this supermarket to buy my meats because it's cheaper by, sometimes it's just 10 cents. It's cheaper by a certain amount of money, and so I'm going to go. But for children, you just have a favorite supermarket based for a specific reason, maybe the accessibility, how quickly you can get your snacks or something along that line. So today we'll talk about two very interesting words that have a lot to do with us going to the store and purchasing the items we need. These two words are consumers and producers. So to all of our listening friends, we invite you to pay close attention and to take notes so that you can win great prizes at the end of the program. We will be back with you after the jingle.
Connecting the children of our EC region with good information and excellent mentoring. They started us early and making it easy to manage our money and make a real living. They're linking the children with excellent mentoring.
All right, so of course we were talking about our supermarkets, and we highlighted two important words that we will focus on today, and those words are consumers and producers. Of course, the jingle that you heard, we just heard, and I love to rock along with the jingle. The jingle for the ECCB Children's Connection is a program which is produced by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and the jingle was written by Dawn Mills, and she is the Corporate Relations Officer at ECCB. And the vocals, you know, the person singing, though it was performed by our children from the ECCB After School Program. Okay, so of course, earlier listeners, we talked about going to the supermarket or store with your parents. There are different types of stores that we go to. So of course we go to specific stores for particular reasons. For instance, we go to the supermarkets to buy food. But sometimes we don't need food, we need to buy other things. As we look at our needs and our wants, we think of different things. So for children, you may have to go to a store to buy an electronic, because, you know, especially with online learning, you might need a laptop, you might need a tablet, so you may have to go to an electronic store. And then particularly at Christmas time, and in some countries, here not as much, but there are stores that only sell toys. They sell nothing but toys. I know that's a child's heaven, but you go to a toy store. And then there are times, let's say back to school time, or if you have a special event to attend, we're just fresh out of inter-primary, we're coming up on graduation, right? And so there are times you may need to go to a clothing store to get clothes. And we all want our feet, or, you know, some people think about, you know, the best shoes and name brand shoes and fancy shoes, and so sometimes we have to go to a store that focuses specifically on shoes. And then in the mornings, for breakfast, many of us have bread, and so if we want bread, of course our supermarkets sell bread sometimes, but there's a specific store that sells, or a shop that sells bread, and of course we know that's called a bakery. And then for some of us, we love ice cream, and so we have to go to an ice cream shop, and we have a few over the years we've had a few ice cream parlors or ice cream shops, and so we know that. And then for persons like me, when I was a child, my favorite store wasn't the electronic store or the toy store or even the clothing or shoe store, even though I loved shoes, or even the bakery or ice cream shop. My favorite store was the bookstore. And so there are many stores. I might not have touched on all of them. You can think of some others, but those are popular stores that we interact with. Okay, and all of them, we have the chance to go into and to purchase, to buy what we want at these stores. And so they're great. Those examples that I gave are just some of them. But we have another popular type of store that we use a lot these days. I think some of us, including me, probably go to these stores every single day. And they're called online stores. I know everyone out there knows what an online store is. But an online store is one where we can shop using our computers, tablets, or cell phones. Of course, as a child, I didn't have a concept of an online store, but now, as I said, it's one of my favorite stores because you get the chance to just pick up your phone or your computer or your tablet and purchase what you want. One example of an online store is Amazon. People buy different things on Amazon. Amazon is a store that has all of these different things happening at the same time. So people buy different things at Amazon, which include clothing, food, and electronics. Do you know, as you start thinking and as you're listening, listeners, do you know of any other online store where people shop? And I know that you can come up with about 1 million of them. Let me think about it. Children love Amazon. All children know Amazon. I think most of you, our teens, might shop on, let me think, Shein. Shein seems to be a popular store right now. Many people seem to know Shein. It's a new one for me, but it doesn't seem to be a new one for everybody else. Shein sells various things, but I think most people buy clothes and shoes on Shein. We have Forever 21. That might age me a bit because I don't know if people are still using Forever 21. People use Rainbow shops. I think the persons use Rainbow sometimes. Walmart, the old people might want Walmart. Walmart has a bit of everything as well. Basically, what you can find on the in the physical store, and what we've noticed that many of the physical stores have an online presence, and sometimes in some cases, which is not a very good thing, but in some cases the physical stores had to be closed to allow for the online store because persons love the convenience of staying home and buying what they want to. Okay? But when we shop at any store, even an online store, we are called consumers. When we shop at any store, even if it's an online store, we are called consumers. Consumers are persons who buy goods and services. The consumer is also called the buyer. So I think it's easy for us. And those who are watching online, if you're on the YouTube page or the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, you'll be able to see the definition on your screen. Consumers are persons who buy goods and services. The consumer is also called a buyer. That helps us. So consumer equals buyer. I think we can remember the definition of consumer if we think of the consumer as a buyer. Consumers use money as exchange for goods and services they buy. The person at the store who takes the money in exchange for the goods or service is called the seller. So we have the buyer, and of course we have the seller. Now let's see how goods or services get to the consumer. For example, when we go to the restaurant to eat, who prepares the food? Let's see. We have lots of persons preparing the food, but generally we have a chef or cook who leads that process. But they have support persons. They have persons who cut, who peel, who prepare, have the various prep stations. But ultimately our chef or our cook would take care of that process. Okay, so the person who prepares the food at the restaurant is, as I said, the chef or the cook. People who make things we buy. So we've talked about the consumer, the buyer, the seller. Now we're looking at the people who make the things we buy are called producers. An example of a producer is someone who works in a factory to make things like cars, shoes, computers, and many other goods. Producers work very hard and are very skillful. They use raw materials to make the goods we need and want. Remember, all of these concepts that we're hearing have come up over the past couple of weeks. So we're hearing about wants and needs. We're hearing about goods and services. All of these are things that we've learned about, children, in the last the few months of ECCB Children's Connection. Producers work very, very hard and are skillful. They use raw materials to make goods we need and want. Raw materials are things like flour that a baker uses to make bread, wood and cement, which a builder uses to construct houses, and cloth, which a seamstress uses to make the clothes that we wear. Let's look at other examples of producers. Okay? And so I'll go through some producers, and we'll think about for a second what they make so that we can consider them to be producers. So we'll look at some professions, some producers, and we'll think about what they make. So our first one is the construction worker. I think I gave some hints earlier on the construction worker and what that individual may produce. And so our construction workers generally build things. They build, for example, houses or businesses, but they generally build things. So our baker, gave you that hint already as well. I think we mentioned a few times during the show, but our baker produces or makes bread and cakes and pastries and things along that line. And then our seamstress or tailor, that's another important profession, producer, and our seamstresses and tailors produce clothes for most part. So we know that each individual, many of our professions produce something for us. Alright, so there's a short poem which talks about a consumer and a producer. And I never thought about this, listeners. I've known this poem all my life. But there's a simple poem, and the title of the poem is Simple Simon and the Pieman. I've known that, right? So let's take a listen to the poem, and then we'll look at it from the concept of the producer and the consumer. Simple Simon met a pieman going to the fair. Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman to Simple Simon, "Show me first your penny." Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed, I have not any." I'll go through it one more time because maybe some of our children don't know the poem Simple Simon and the Pieman. And pieman, of course, is a person who, I guess, makes pies. Simple Simon met a pieman going to the fair. Simple Simon says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman to Simple Simon, "Show me first your penny." Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed, I have not any." All right, so let's think about this poem for a second, because I have to stop to think about it too. Let's think about it from the concept of the consumer and the producer. Who is the consumer in this poem? Let's see. The consumer. Let me remind us of the definition that we got earlier for consumer. We learned earlier that consumers are persons who buy goods and services. So who would be the consumer in this poem? Let's see. Who wanted to buy goods or services? Simple Simon. He wanted some of what the pieman had. So Simple Simon is the consumer because he wanted to buy pies from the pieman. And who was the producer in this poem? Let's see. The producer in the poem must have been the pieman, because he's the one who makes the pies, and he's the one who had the pies for sale and wanted to sell the pies to Simple Simon. As we look at the poem, do we think that the Simple Simon was able to get the pie? Let's look at it again. Let's look at the poem again. Simple Simon met a pieman going to the fair. Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman to Simple Simon, "Show me first your penny." Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed, I have not any." And so, if I had to guess, based on the story, I would say probably not. Okay, he didn't have any money, and so he would not be able to purchase the pie. So Simple Simon was not able to buy the pie because, as the poem says, he did not have a penny, and penny was the cost of the pie. He did not have enough money to exchange for the pie from the pieman. Remember, we said earlier that the consumers use money to purchase what they need from producers. Okay? So if Simple Simon needed to purchase a pie, listeners, he would need some more what? He would need some more money. So if you need to purchase something, if you need to buy something, then you have to make sure that you have enough money to get it. So we talked about the ice cream parlor earlier. We talked about the shoe store, the toy store, the electronics store. If you want something that's in any of those places, you would have to save money for it. And I must reference one of our shows previously where we talked about the importance of saving, of setting your goal and saving towards it. So that's something that we have to definitely consider. All right, so Simple Simon could try to save so that he can buy what he needs. Remember, we talked about saving for the future. This is exactly what I just referenced. Simple Simon and many of us can still learn a lot about saving from that lesson. So boys and girls, I hope you have had just as much fun as we did today learning about the consumers and the producers. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back and to see how much you learned today.
Connecting our children of our EC region with good information and excellent mentoring. They started us early and making it easy to manage our money and make a real living. They're linking our children with excellent mentoring.
All right, so thank you so much, and once again, that lovely jingle, it's one of our favorite jingles because we rock in here with it. That lovely jingle you heard was written and composed by Don Mills, Corporate Relations Officer at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and it was performed by the children of the ECCB After School Program. We heard a lot for this morning about consumers and producers, and we have just a few questions for you. Please call us at 869-469-1616 or 469-100 for a chance to win some fun prizes. And note that the prizes from the last activity, children, we have them in our possession, so those will go out to you as well. All you have to do is be the first to answer the questions, and then we will be able to give you further instructions. So the questions are very simple, and I know that you'll be able to do well. You'll be able to answer the questions. Numbers to call, 469-1616, 469-1700. We have fresh new prizes from ECCB. They've sent over some new prizes, and so very exciting prizes, so I'm hoping that you can all access them. The first question is, who is a consumer? Who is a consumer? 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. We have a caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Who is a consumer?
A consumer is someone who buys. A consumer is someone who buys goods and services.
Woo! What's your name?
My name is Tejani David.
And you are in grade. What grade are you in, Tejani?
I'm in grade 5.
5. Okay, thought it was 6 for a moment there. All right, congratulations. You are very correct, and the ECCB has sent us some brand new prizes.
Thank you.
So we will get those to you. Okay. And which grade 5 are you in, Tejani?
Grade 5 responsibility.
Responsibility, and your teacher is. Your name of your teacher?
Aliyah Sampson.
Okay, you have teacher Sampson. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, so Tejani was able to tell us the definition of a consumer, and a consumer is a person who buys goods and services. Who is a producer? Can you tell us? So those are the two big words that we have this week, consumer and producer. Who is a producer? The numbers to call, 469-1616, 469-1700. Can you tell us who is a producer? And so we've been talking, listeners, about consumers, producers, buying goods, selling goods, preparing, promoting. And so we want to hear from you. Who is a producer? Numbers to call, 469-1616, 469-1700. And we heard from Tejani. She was able to tell us who is the definition of a consumer. And so now we're looking for a caller to tell us the definition of a producer. Okay, consumer versus producer. So we're looking for a producer. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Okay, wonderful. Can you tell us who is a producer?
A producer is someone who makes things and sells things.
Ooh, okay. So, and what's your name? What is your name? Listening to the phone and not to the radio. What is your name?
Lamaya Grant.
Lamaya Grant. Okay, Lamaya, you are in grade 4. Which one? Which grade 4 are you in?
You are in grade 4. Which one?
Swifts. Okay, thank you. Grade 4 Swifts, and you have Miss Freeman and Mr. Archibald. Mr. Hanley, sorry. Okay, thank you so much, Lamaya. You have a wonderful day, and you are correct.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. So we heard about the definition for a consumer. We heard the definition for a producer. We have a few more questions. We might have to take them over to another week. Perhaps maybe we can bring Ajurani and we can interact and get some of those questions in, because we have to go over to our lesson for today. And of course, we all know that the story of creation, we know that God created the earth, and today our wise word is creativity. Creativity comes from the word create. Okay? So, creativity is the ability to see things in new ways. It is when someone makes something unique or does something in a way that has not been done before. It is when someone uses his or her imagination to think of new ways of doing things differently. All right? And so, of course, we all know how much I love my dear old friend, Oliver.
Hi there, boys and girls. Your friendly owl is back with another special word for today. Creativity. That's the use of the imagination, or your original ideas. If you can imagine it, you can create it. So, boys and girls, put all those ideas you have to good use and let your creative juices flow. Now, back to your host.
Thank you so much, Oliver, my favorite owl. And Oliver has shared a bit more about creativity with us. And of course, as Oliver said to us, creativity is the ability to see things in new ways. And sometimes you're in school, children, and you hear, you need to be creative. And all your teacher is saying to you is, think about something that nobody has done before. Or if someone has done it before, think of a different way in which you can do it. All right? And so we've all used our creativity in so many ways. I think we use them as students more when we have to do some project. Many times you have projects and you get a score for being creative. Creativity is important because it helps us to express our uniqueness, and that makes life more exciting and interesting. It is because of creativity that we are able to enjoy songs, movies, and cartoons, and even certain dance moves. Creativity allows us to find better ways of doing things, to solve problems, and to come up with new inventions and ideas. I'm going to show you 3 items, and of course we are going to go through them in our listening friends. What can we make from these items? Let's think about some items that we have, and we can think about what we can make. So if we have, I'm going to throw them out to you, our listeners. We are just about wrapping up, but think about what we can do with a piece of paper, a sheet of paper, in terms of creativity. What we can do with some colored duct tape, and what we can do with some fabric. So some sheets of paper, some colored duct tape, and some fabric. And perhaps you can think through that, and we can, as I said, when we come back to go through the questions, the additional questions, we can take a look at that as well. But we can be creative with just about anything. And so as you go through the week, I encourage all of you to express your creativity and to show that you are indeed creative persons. We should never be ashamed or afraid of being different, because being unique helps with our creativity. We have come to the end of another ECCB Children's Connection program, and we're so happy that you were able to join us today. We learned about consumers and producers, and also about being creative. So until next time, we encourage you to stay safe, to be creative, and we'll see you soon. Stay connected.